welcome to all of you, and would also like to thank you for spending a valuable time for joining us today. A very special welcome to our from UAE. Today we have with us Mr. Hamad Al Saig, Head Strategic Accounts DP World UAE Region, Mr. Ravin Guliani, Head Business Development DP World UAE Region, Mr. Vijay Mehta, Chair of International Affairs Committee for Middle East and North Africa PhD CCI, and Mr. Surinder Kala, Co-Chair International Affairs Committee for MENA PhD CCI. Friends, as you all may be aware, DP World is a leading trade enabler and one of the top global maritime terminal operators, with a presence across 78 terminals in 40 countries and 9 logistics globally. Its flag facility in UAE, the port and free zone in Jebel Ali, Dubai, is amongst the world's largest port and industrial complex spread over an area of 100 plus square kilometers. The Indo-UAE Bridge is a trade and investment development initiative by DP World's UAE region, leveraging vast portfolios of ports, inland logistics, and industrial zones in both UAE and India globally. DP World aims to enhance access to opportunities, markets, provides seamless supply chain solutions, and complement India's export strategy, Make in India, Make for the World, and facilitate profitable investments for Indian businesses. Its infrastructure capabilities and service offerings can go a long way in enhancing reliability, on-time deliverables, and efficiencies in your international trade. To begin this webinar, may I invite Mr. Vijay Mehta, Chair of International Affairs Committee for MENA, PhD CCI, to deliver his welcome address.
Thank you, Neeraj. Mr. Hamad Al Said, Mr. Ravin Guliani, Mr. S.K. Kalra, Managing Committee members, our Secretary General, Mr. Sanyal, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all for the interactive video conference on DP World, which is facilitating MSMEs access to the international markets. As I was telling Mr. Guliani in an informal chat before the conference began, in the early 80s, and after that, I have had the pleasure of seeing the transformation of Dubai. And we could go around the town in a matter of about 20 minutes. And today, I think the whole road, Al Zayed Road from Dubai to, you can see the kind of development which UAE is facing. And I'm sure that DP World has a large role into playing into that. India and UAE have shared, but earlier the trade was dominated by traditional items which we used to import from Dubai, such as dates, pearls, and food products, and mainly seafood products. It has undergone a sharp change in the last few decades. Now, with the emergence of UAE as a unified entity in 1971, exports from India have started growing gradually over the years. The real impetus, however, started after Dubai positioned itself as a regional trading hub by early 1990s, and about the same time, the economic liberalization process started in India. Dubai has been a major tourist destination for Indians. And I think if I am not wrong, probably it constitutes one of the best destinations for a weekend holiday or a short-term trip for shopping and tourism and having a kind of a very relaxed time in Dubai. As a tourist hotspot, Dubai has emerged offering probably all world-class tourism facilities in their small island and at a much lower cost than if one goes around in Europe or in America. And even for shopping purposes, Indians have been taking a dominant position in, and a lot of Indians have settled there and they're doing a lot of business there. And there is nothing which we miss in Dubai, whether it is kachori, golgappas, or any kind of eatables, which we are Indians are very fond of. And you will find a lot of Indian entrepreneurs opening their permanent business establishments in Dubai. There is an estimated US dollar 10 to 11 billion UAE investment in India, of which around 6.6 billion as up to March 2019 figures is in the form of foreign direct investment, while the remaining is portfolio investment. UAE is the ninth biggest investor in India in terms of FDI. UAE investments in India are concentrated mainly in 5 sectors. Services sector is about 16%, sea transport is about 9%, power is about 8.25%, construction infrastructure activities is about 7%, and construction development, townships, housing, built up infrastructure, and construction development projects constitute the balance. In fact, a lot of construction companies from Dubai are a household name in India. They have been holding the trade fairs, or rather real estate fairs, in the major towns in India, and Indians have been buying a lot of properties there, either for gains or their long-term stay in that part of the world. In addition to this, there are a number of joint ventures and investments undertaken by UAE companies in India. MR, a real estate company of Dubai government, is active in the real estate sector, having already set up a major township and an international convention center and a golf course in Hyderabad. This is in addition to whatever MR has built along with their joint venture with a very leading Indian group called MGF Group. MR Group intends to invest in Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat in food processing sector, creating a foods corridor in the country. Growing India-UAE economic and commercial relations contribute to the stability and strength of a rapidly diversifying and deepening bilateral relationship between the two countries. I can still recall the visit of our Prime Minister who went to UAE, and also the graceful grace of the UAE government in awarding him one of the most important and most high positioned award to Mr. Modi. In fact, UAE government has been quite in favor of Indians, and I think one of the best temples for Hindus has been sanctioned to be built in Abu Dhabi. Both sides are striving to further strengthen these ties for mutual benefits. India-UAE trade, valued at US dollar 180 million per annum in the 1970s, is today about 59 billion as of 31st March 2009. India's export constitute about 25.85 billion, while our imports are valued at about US dollar 30.25 billion from UAE, making UAE the India's third largest trading partner for the year 1920 after China and US. Moreover, UAE is the second largest export destination of India, with an amount of nearly US dollar 29 billion for the year 1920. For UAE, India is the second largest trading partner for the year 2019, with an amount of US dollar 43.43 billion of the non-oil trade. We in India are well concerned and well acquainted with the strategic position of UAE, which acts as a door to Middle East countries as well as to African countries. And through the UAE, with their better positioning in terms of taxation and the other benefits available to the traders, Indian exports have been channelized through UAE to almost a number of Middle East and African countries. India's exports to the UAE are well diversified with a very large basket. India's major export items to the UAE are petroleum products, precious metals, stones, gems and jewelry, minerals, food items, vegetables, tea, meat, seafood, textile, garments, apparel, synthetic fiber, cotton, yarn, engineering, machinery products, chemicals. The list is very long and it is rapidly growing. India's major import items from the UAE are petroleum and petroleum products, precious metals, stones, gems and jewelry, minerals, chemicals, wood and wood products. India also imported about 17.5 metric million tons of crude oil from UAE in 2018 and 19. This only contains the official figures and does not include the kind of money which is spent by Indians during their innumerable trips to Dubai and the shopping which they bring back home of different products from by Dubai destinations. The current interaction between the representative of JAFZA and members of PHDCCI is a timely one. And I'm sure that the deliberation today will provide enough information to consider the new marketing strategies. I would also like to take this opportunity to specially thank DP World for partnering with the Chamber in organizing today's session. I am sure, given the strength and pivotal position of DP World in UAE, our members would be able to identify opportunities of bilateral economic and trade cooperation with their counterparts in UAE. While concluding, I would also like to say that this committee, which I am the chairman and Mr. Kalra is the co-chairman, and Mr. Neeraj is our secretary for this particular committee from the chamber, the principal secretary for that reason. We are going to be responsible for increasing our relationship and strengthen it with Middle East as well as in North Africa. That is why the committee is called MENA, MENA, Middle East and North Africa. This is our earnest desire, not only to strengthen and increase the trade between the two countries, but also bring a delegation of our members to meet their counterparts in these countries during the time after the corona fears have subsided. And we would like to visit UAE, Saudi Arabia, and many other countries with which India is positioned to have a favorable trade terms. So with these words, I thank you, DP World, once again. I thank you, Mr. Hamad and Mr. Guliani, for sparing their time, valuable time to be present in this seminar. And I'm sure that the proceedings will bring a lot of value addition to all those who are present today. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before I invite Mr. Hamad Al Saig, Head of Strategic Accounts, DP World UAE region, for the keynote address on India-UAE partnership and trade, I would like to give a brief about Mr. Hamad. Mr. Hamad Al Saig has been working with DP World UAE region for more than 15 years in two major roles within the organization. He is currently heading strategic accounts team in the commercial department, looking after strategic customers in DP World and also customer solutions development projects within JAFZA. I now invite Mr. Hamad Al Saig for his keynote address, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Rihad, Mr. Vijay, for your kind words. It's my pleasure to be with you today and joining everybody in this interesting session. I hope everybody's keeping safe wherever you are, and I would like to appreciate the time taken to join us today. As you highlighted, Mr. Vijay, I think the UAE and Dubai specifically have very long relationship with India. And our chairman specifically believes that post-COVID, India will actually drive global trade because of the capacity and the ambitions and what we have in place. And the trade relationships between UAE and India have long been in place. You touched upon in your speech whereby this relationship goes more than 50 years ago, whether it's for tourism, trade, banking, gold, you name it. And in fact, the trade relationship between India and UAE was approximately 180 million US dollars in the 70s. Now we are talking trade worth more than $60 billion. And we expect that this will only grow much further in the next 1 or 2 years. And we expect it to reach 100 billion. So there's a lot of opportunities in place. And like I said, India today is by far the largest partner with UAE in terms of trade. And the good thing is our governments are aligned. We see a lot of common ground between our visions and your vision, and how do we strengthen the relationship even further to new heights to make things work faster. Today, Dubai specifically emphasizes on supporting small and medium enterprises as well as large enterprises, and a lot of them are being pushed and driven by Indian individuals. And as a trade enabler, we are committed to India's ambitions and to grow trade in any possible way. We, as DP World alone, have invested more than $3 billion in infrastructure, whether it's in port, logistics, warehousing, and many others. So just a few of our commitments in the Indian part. In the UAE part, we have also established many initiatives to support Indian businessmen established here. Just to name a few, we have created what we call an Indian business incubation center to allow new startups to operate at less than 60% of the cost. We're subsidizing a lot of the cost just to support people to initiate the business, because we know eventually things will grow. We have also created a lot of bridges to facilitate the trade using our ports in both legs, whether India and UAE, as well as any other place in the world where we operate. You touched upon we operate more than 50 countries on the globe, and we are focusing a lot on India, Africa, and Latin America. And we ensure that through our capabilities, there are multiple areas for collaboration which we can bring value to you in any part of the supply chain. We operate not only as a port, but as a solution provider to your trade. We have the capability to provide end-to-end solution, whether through us directly or any of our partners that we work with in all of the countries around the world. And I encourage you to please take this opportunity to ask during a session or pause the session, wherever you see we can add value to you, support you, and hopefully grow your business all over the world. And that's why I'd like to pass on to my brother Ravi, who will be sharing with us what solutions you have, what initiatives are there, and how it will help you hopefully grow your business. Thank you, and wish you benefit from this session.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. And just like to inform you that, PhD Chamber has, since the lockdown in India in March, we have already organized around more than 50, webinars and B2B meetings with our Indian missions in 50 different countries. And what it has done is that, the Indian companies who are looking at exploring the market beyond the Indian boundaries, they're very keen, that at least I'm able to connect with the people right now virtually. But once the things become normal, then when they travel to that particular country, they already know that these are the people whom they had already interacted. So this virtual platform is something which has already, given a good impetus to the Indian, especially the SMEs, to explore the market. Like if I said we've done 50 countries, so they know that which are the countries of their, importance, and they've started categorizing those countries as per their business need. And I think this is a very rightly interactions within, because to be honest, we do a lot of interactions with different Gulf countries, and everybody has unique things to offer to the members. So, but I think what I've already seen what you're going to offer, and being Dubai as such, it itself attracts a lot of companies. So I think the presentation which Mr. Ravin will be giving will give more information. And immediately after this, we will, if Mr. Ravin can give us the presentation, copy of the presentation, we will also circulate with the members who have not been able to join us. And then we can, this is the first step, Mr. Ahmed and Mr. Ravin. So it should be a continuous step, and we'll ensure that, lots and lots of, members of the chamber are keenly interested in, getting some sort of business opportunities for them in the Gulf region. So thank you so much, Mr. Hamad. And friends, before we listen to Mr. Ravin Giuliani, the head of business development DP World UAE region on facilitating MSMEs access to international markets through India UAE bridge, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Ravin Giuliani. Mr. Ravin Giuliani is a B2B business developer, marketer, and corporate entrepreneur, pursuing opportunities to drive business growth. He has over 15 years of management and leadership experience within the maritime shipping logistic industry facilitating global trade. He currently leads the business development function of DP World UAE region. The role encompasses the portfolio of ports, zones, and logistics BUs, including the Jebel Ali port and free zone. Prior to this, he was the director for business development responsible for enhancing the cargo cluster and value add logistics services within Jebel Ali, Dubai for DP World. Ravin joined DP World in 2010 as the Senior Manager of Business Intelligence and Marketing. Mr. Gilani was previously the Regional Manager at Maritime City, Dubai World, responsible for sales and business development in Asia Pacific. He led the sales efforts to enhance Dubai's maritime cluster and also seek new maritime business opportunities. Prior to that, he has been in a number of commercial and operational roles with Maersk Line within Asia, Middle East, and China. I now invite Mr. Gulani for his presentation.
Hi, good evening, good afternoon. I'm just going to share the presentation and I hope everyone can view it. If there are challenges, then please do let. Can you view the slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, Mr. Neeraj, thank you for this opportunity. I think Mr. Mehta gave a very elaborate and detailed overview on the ties between the UAE and India today and how they've been nurtured over the last few decades. It's a very strategic relationship. Anything and everything under the planet is discussed between the leaderships and between the governments. There are a number of different work streams where everything from state security to food security is discussed. Obviously, during the pandemic and the aftermath of the pandemic, food security is a very big project stream, as we understand. And India being the historical breadbasket of the UAE, is most likely and more prominently probably going to become a bigger proponent of food security in the UAE than it has ever been before, right? The trade figures have been discussed, but I just want to put things in a little context out here. If you look at the total trade between India and the UAE, stands at around $60 billion. 20 billion of this, or if we exclude all the oil trade and the non-precious metals trade, so trade stands at around $20 billion. And around $17 billion of this trade comes into Dubai, right? So which is around 85% of the non-oil, non-jewelry trade. And you can consider the jewelry trade essentially is Dubai. But if we exclude those two, then 85% of the physical goods trade comes to Dubai, right? This trade has been growing by around 12% CAGR over the last 4 to 5 years. The government's vision, and I think we're sliding on this vision a little bit, but the government's vision is that trade should be at most $90 to $100 billion over the next few years, right? A little context, look at India. The UAE happens to be India's third largest trade partner after China and the United States. You can understand the size of the economies that we are getting compared to as the UAE, as a trade partner for India. And when it comes to the UAE, India is the second largest trade partner. When we get into Dubai, then India happens to be the largest trade partner for Dubai because we're a non-oil trade zone. So that's what we focus on. And India is the largest market that we can cater to from here, right? So there's also another debatable statistic that keeps being thrown around, which is that Dubai or Jebel Ali port happens to be the largest destination for Indian manufactured goods or for Indian exporters. It's just to put in context that if you look at global trade flow from India to all over the world, Dubai is debatably the largest port where Indian goods are exported to, right? For all the members you've not been to Dubai, I'll share the slide later, but where we are today is it's a very cosmopolitan city with more than 200 nationalities calling it home. Number one, in terms of the busiest airport that we operate, number fifth in terms of the Global Connected Index. These rankings are more for the UAE, but if we zero in on Dubai, then these rankings probably even become higher. But what's most important here is we take a number of roles as Dubai as a city. We are the gateway market to the UAE. We are the shipping and the logistics and the trade hub for the Arabian Gulf and the wider region. We happen to facilitate market access to approximately 3.5 billion people. And these 3.5 billion people includes the African continent, North Africa, as was indicated earlier, the Middle East and the Arabian Gulf, Iran, CIS, and of course the Indian subcontinent as well. And we are the world's third largest re-export market after Hong Kong and after Singapore. So what we fundamentally believe that the role that Hong Kong plays to China, the role that Singapore plays for Southeast Asia, Dubai plays a similar role for the Indian continent, right? And that's our philosophy and that's our ethos, right? So we're a global trade enabler. All the dots on the global map that you see is where we've got a physical presence in terms of either a port or a terminal or a zone. So you've got a physical investment. You can see that we are all across the map in India, very strong in Europe, and a number of other countries. In terms of our vision, we enable global trade. Our focus is how can we increase the flow of goods and encourage trade flows across the world, right? This story, I'd like to share, and I'll kind of put in context on what our capabilities in India are, what our capabilities in the UAE are, and what is it that we're trying to do, right? And how can we facilitate exports from India, right? So we've got Neeraj ji, and I don't mean, that was an example, Neeraj ji, so aapka naam nahi liya tha, but that is what we've been using in our presentation. So it's just a good coincidence. So Neeraj ji is an SME aspirational exporter, right? He wants to export into new markets. He wants to obviously first and foremost be able to reach out to buyers in new markets. So he obviously is either running a small factory or he is growing some foods and processing it, and so has a little warehouse. So if he has to export goods, if we look at the value chain that we can provide across the Indian continent, is we can do the last and the first mile trucking. We can manufacture goods or produce goods into an ICD or a CFS or a warehouse where we can stuff it and put it in a container. We can rail it from the hinterland of India on our rail rakes into the terminals that we operate, right? We operate 6 terminals across the coast of India. From the terminals, we can get the customs clearances done through our in-house entity. We own and operate shipping lines between the Middle East, Asia, and the European continent. Over the last 6 months, we've acquired this capability as well. We can bring the cargo into most of the global ports of call around the world, but for this example, I'm going to take Jebel Ali, right? Here we have the capability to then service your market. So you see, you have a one-stop solution. Not only till the cargo gets into Jebel Ali, but in Jebel Ali, in our ecosystem, you've got logistics capabilities, but if warehouse of your own, we've got a pre-built inventory of warehouses that we can lease to you. We've got land if you would want to put up a processing facility. We facilitate market access. So from Jebel Ali, we've got connectivity to more than 140 direct ports of call across the world. The shipping line connectivity is what I'm talking about. with 80 odd weekly services that call the port. It is unparalleled infrastructure, unparalleled connectivity, and most importantly, it's not limited to sea, because from there you can serve by road today, not only the Arabian Gulf, but there's cargo even going into Jordan, Egypt, Syria, Israel now, at least to the border of Palestine, Yemen. So there's a lot of countries which are traditionally served via road markets, via sea markets, and very challenging to serve, which are being serviced by the road network from Dubai, right? And obviously, you've got the fantastic air connectivity that Dubai Airport and Emirates offers, where you can move your goods to over 200 different cities within 24 to 48 hours of it landing in Dubai, and the possibility to do sea air shipments as well, right? Now, put this in the ecosystem of being in Dubai, being in a tax-free environment, being in an environment where you can meet global buyers and sellers, being in an environment where it's potentially and arguably cheaper to raise capital financing than sitting down and trying to do it in India. So you can see how the whole ecosystem brings in value, and what prominent and what sizable a role DP World can play in this facilitation across global markets. Right? So what are we in Jebel Ali? Our home base. This is where we started off. We own and operate around 100 square kilometers of land between the port and the two zones at our back end. Within the port, we're a polyfunctional port, so we can handle any and all type of cargo. We've got more than 100 berths, so 100 ships can be parked in our port at any given time, right? From a container perspective, we've got 22 million TEU container capacity. Just to put things into context and for my members to understand the size and scale of infrastructure and the investment that has gone in, the container capacity in Jebel Ali happens to be higher than the total container capacity in India across all the ports. So you can imagine the scale of the infrastructure that has been put out here. And it's not been put for the city of Dubai, which is 3 million people. It's been put for, for the region, the 3 million population that we cater to, right? Obviously, adjacent to the port is the free zones and the economic zones that we operate. It's been split into two primary land banks. One is the Jebel Ali Free Zone, which is a bonded zone, and the other happens to be a non-bonded domestic trading area zone. Some of the capabilities in the zone, and Javza of prime importance, is we've got dedicated clusters across the zone catering to certain industries. We can cater to both the SME sector as well as the MNCs. We've got an established presence of 8,000 companies within the zone. These companies actually trade physical goods more than $99 billion. And they employ more than 140,000 odd people within this economic zone that we operate, right? What is our role in this zone? We are obviously landlords, so we can make land available for lease long term. We have pre-built inventory of warehouses and LIUs. We actually have more than 1,200 of these. We own and operate, we develop business parks, so you can lease office space from us. We've got, I think, more than 170,000 square meter of office space, right? Hamad mentioned earlier, he and his team also does customized facilities. So if you do not want to come down and put down the capex into building a customized distribution center or a customized factory, then we will help you towards that. And we also have labor accommodation of very high standards within the zone, right? So the whole ecosystem, if you put it into context, is plug and play ecosystem for trade. What is required is available at any given time. जभी भी आपको ज़रूरत है, you can use certain portions of it. Whenever you need it, you can use the full and comprehensive ecosystem available, right? And all of the typical benefits that come along with the free zone offering in the UAE are already included in it. Actually, we are the base law. We were the first free zone set up in the UAE, so all the other free zones are a mirror copy in terms of the rules and the regulations, right? What's also most important for us is that we're a one-stop system. So when it comes to facilitating interactions with the government, with the utility providers, for your it's all done through the Jabalali Free Zone team. Your interface will be only with us, right? And we do this all electronically. So be it incorporation of your entity, to be it getting visas, or to facilitate the movement of goods into Dubai and out of Dubai, it is all done electronically through a portal called DubaiTrade.ae. So you can fundamentally sit on a beach in Goa and conduct trade from there by moving goods in and out of Dubai and all across the world, right? The Indians have a very profound relationship with Jabza and with Dubai. We've got more than 1,100 companies of Indian origin in Jabalali Free Zone. Why I'm showing this is to make you understand that this is not something new. We're not selling desert sand here. We have a live, thriving community, a very large size existing trade base, and we're trying to encourage and see how we can bring in more value proposition to this trade base, right? So some of the names of the Indian businesses that are actually based out of Jabalali Free Zone, right? So what are we trying to do on the bridge? जो मैंने आपको अभी नीरज जी की कहानी बताई थी, the SME story of Mr. Neeraj, you can see that he can use us for setting up a new legal entity. He can use us for a solution on the terminal side. He can use us for a solution on the free zone and the industrial side. We can do the end-to-end logistics and the freight management and the cargo movement for him, right? And this integrated solution offering that we are trying to do between our business units in DP World India and the UAE is what we call the India-UAE bridge, right? Fundamentally, we are, as Hamad mentioned, we are in the progress of developing more bridges where we see value for Jabalali and for the Indian community. India is our prime focus. We are developing an Africa bridge, which will obviously be connected to UAE. So we are able to offer India, UAE, Africa connectivity, India, UAE, the Middle East connectivity, and a profound and a complete ecosystem enabling all this. Vijay ji mentioned this to a little degree, but I'll put it in a little more deeper context. We strongly believe in Atmanirbhar Bharat, in the Make in India strategy. Our chairman, His Excellency Sultan bin Sulaim, has actually gone out and professed that India is sitting on a huge opportunity post-COVID. He and Mr. Modi actually seem to have a lot of dialogue on a regular basis, right? And all the investments that we've been doing over the past 3 to 4 years in India are geared towards how India can export goods faster and import goods faster and more efficiently. So putting in place the right logistics ecosystem and infrastructure for it, right? So what we are fundamentally saying is that make in India, but export via Dubai. We believe that we can complement the Make in India strategy. And if we look at the Indian export growth and the commodities where the export growth has led over the last 3-4 years, these are the sectors which the Make in India strategy is also focused on. It's agri and F&B products, it's automotive components and vehicles, petrochemicals and other high-value chemical goods, retail FMCG goods, engineering and pharmaceutical, of course. And all of these 5-6 sectors that I talk about were there in my previous slide where I showed you the Jabza clusters. So even from a Jabalali Free Zone perspective, and this is not data that I'm stitching. This data is available on the government's website. You can see that the existing strategies have complemented it, and the strategy going forward is to complement this as well. So there is a natural alliance and there is a natural fit for this. To support the Indian business community, we've set up an Indian Business Incubation Center. And as Hamad mentioned earlier, we're actually subsidizing the cost of doing business for Indian businesses who do not have an existing presence in the UAE by more than 65% for the first 3 years, right? Please feel free to reach out to us if we can support you in any way. On that note, I'd like to thank you. Neeraj ji, the floor is back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ravin Guliani. I think your presentation, right, starting from slide 5, is something which the Indian companies, especially our members, must be interested and will definitely look into the opportunities. So, as I requested, if I can get a copy of the slide, and we can send it with other members who could not join us today, and maybe again, have a interaction again with the members in coming days before we holiday for the Christmas. So I mean, there's something very interesting. As I said in the starting, Mr. Ravi, that we've been doing a lot of interactions with the free zones of the various Gulf countries, and we always wanted somebody to come up with a very unique presentation, which actually hits the SME. That this is what I need, and I think your presentation is one of them. So I think once we share this presentation, we'll have a lot of queries from the members, and let's make it a regular, things, because I think there'll be more and more interest which we can impart from amongst the members itself. I don't have requested for the question answers, but I will just have one question, which is from Mr. Mr. Musid. He says, I'm representing Baypur Port Advisory Council, a non-major port in North Kerala. It's a southern part of India, an entire Malabar region where a lot of Keralites residing in Middle Eastern countries have their personal effects that cargo and Baypur has gone to next level after dredging and close proximity to Middle East with low charges is waiting response with port operators and shipping lines for a connectivity services, since there are a lot of export cargoes like spices, handloom, textile, footwear, etc. to be shipped to Europe and USA. So basically, he's expecting a response from port operators like DP World for the betterment of Baypur port. I think he's already had some discussions with your representatives. So, Mr. Ravin, if you'd like to just address to Mr. Musid.
So, Mr. Munshi, if you are in touch with DP World India, that would be the right entry point for discussions on, how we potentially upgrade or be part of the port improvement project in Jaipur. But until the port improvement project in Jaipur is concluded and done with, if we need any support in getting goods flow out of Jaipur and the area nearby, then we would be glad to support you on a logistics solution to and from there. So yes, I'm going to put down my email address on the chat box, and feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you, Mr. Ravin. So I'll request our chair, Mr. Vijay Mehta, if he has some queries on behalf of the members, followed by Mr. Surendra Kara, the co-chair of International Affairs Committee for MENA.
Well, I think it is one of the most comprehensive presentation I have seen, and I thank you, Mr. Guliani, to let our members know about the dimensions of your activities. And I think, like Mr. Neeraj has very rightly said, that many people who could not join for one reason or the other, we have very large membership. We have about access to about more than 100,000 individuals and organizations, either directly or indirectly. So your email, your presentation can be emailed to them, and then they will also have the advantage, and then they can directly send you the queries on the email which you have just now posted on the chat box. So thank you so much, and I think I would request Mr. Kalra to present the vote of thanks.
Mr. Hamad.
Good afternoon, sir.
Mr. Ravin Guliani.
Sir, can you switch on your video, please?
Saurabh ji and Naveen Seth ji, Neeraj ji. gratitude to the friends from UAE and DP World for partnering with our chamber for organizing today's session. I am sure that I speak for everyone present today that we have been greatly enthused to learn about to various opportunities that exist between India and UAE. I hope all present today will greatly benefit from today's session. My special thanks to the business communities from India and UAE for investing their valuable time to attend this session. I would also like to thank the Secretariat of International Affairs and Trade Fairs Division, PhD CCI, for organizing today's session. I hope everyone will find it useful and our interactions today will be offshoots in furthering the trade and economic relations the two nations have. I would request now to all to carry the vote of thanks by acclamation. One thing I want to add here, this is what I was asked to read, and which was from my own side, I would like to add for the benefit of the Indian businessmen, what are the additional benefits they can get over there? I have seen the PPTs, I have heard Mr. Ahmed. One is that what is not available in India is the Sharia financing, which is dominant there. And like Mashrak Bank, HSBC Bank, they have got the special windows also, and which is interest free. This during the 2008 financial crisis, I remember most of the mortgage banks, American banks and British banks, they had big problems, but none of the Sharia banks had any of such problems. They're very strong. Second benefit they get for the trading is that the is possible. Third is that India has got a very good double taxation treaty with UAE. And fourth, which I want to tell you is, after a very long time, on 17th January 2020, Indian Ministry of Law and Justice issued a notification in the official gazette declaring UAE as a reciprocating country. So that also gives a lot of benefits for the businessmen and investors. And now UAE, this apart from that, UAE has entered into a treaty with Israel, and so I have a recent, only today the news was that Israeli businessmen are trying to invest in the real estate properties in UAE, so the prices are also started rising there. So at the right time, we can invest there. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Kalra. So as our chairman, Mr. Vijay Mehta said that, if we can get a copy of it, and there are a lot of things, I'm sure there are a lot of, queries which the members would like to share and have the response on. So the moment we get it, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we'll share it among our members and we'll try to have the responses with us and we'll collectively compile those responses and the queries. And we will forward to you, Mr. Ravin. And once we think that there are enough responses we received and we need to have an interaction, then we immediately will, as an offshoot of this particular webinar, will arrange another interaction. Sir, to be honest, our president, Mr. Sanjay Agrawal, he's currently in Dubai. But due to the last moment meeting which came up, so he was the first person to confirm to be a part of it. But to the last moment, he had some virtual meeting with the union ministers in India, so he had to pull back. So I think, there's a lot of things which are going to happen, and Dubai itself, the first preference for anybody who wants to travel to Middle East. So I think let's take it forward, sir. And with your support, I'm sure our members, our industry members will benefit a lot. So
Sure.
with this, I would like to thank you all again, and we look forward to a very strong and fruitful relationship in coming time. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you, Mr. Ravin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look forward to it. And, the presentation will be with you today. And if your president would like or have the time to connect to Dubai, then please do let me know. Thank you.
Sure, sir. I'll inform him that in case he can visit, then he can visit your office.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving us an opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you so much.
All right.